In this video, we're going to be talking about 3 weapons that are incredibly underrated, and they're so powerful that you could be winning teamfight after teamfight, but the majority of people just leave it there, don't even pick it up. And they're actually leaving tons of value on the table. Speaking of value, the GameLeap website is the best value that you can find if you want to improve and you want to do it incredibly quickly. The GameLeap website is designed to help you from the bottom up with in-depth VOD reviews, breakdowns, and so much more. Do yourself a favor and go check it out right now down below. Now, the first underrated weapon that I really gotta talk about here is the plasma pistol. And a lot of people don't actually like the plasma pistol that much, and I can see why. Unfortunately, the plasma pistol is definitely worse than it has been in the past, and in many situations, it's slightly outshined, or quite a bit outshined, by the Mangler, which is incredibly important. That weapon is still crazy powerful, but so is the plasma pistol, and I think it's incredibly underutilized. The first way that you can use the plasma pistol is play from a point of protection. Let's think about like the corner on Bazaar, or the corners on the high ground on Bazaar. What you could do is play those corners, charge up a plasma pistol shot, and peek out different angles looking for an enemy that is slightly caught out. If you shoot the plasma pistol and it connects, you could just instantly kill that person super easy because it's going to break their shields. And if you miss, all you have to do is go back behind cover. You literally peek that angle for maybe a second, if that, and it's impossible for enemies to kill you in that time frame. This means that the plasma pistol is an amazing weapon to quote-unquote fish or try to play for these pick potentials, which is actually incredibly low risk, high reward, and I think it's a great actual complement to the battle rifle. In addition, the plasma pistol is a really great weapon to use if enemies try to push you. If enemies push up on you, you can always just hit them with a full charged plasma pistol shot, melee them, or just drop your weapon and instantly BR them in the head. Either way, and you're going to be able to kill people so damn quickly. Now, I bring up the towers on Bazaar because right underneath that is actually the overshield, and that's one of the most important aspects of the plasma pistol. It can just destroy an overshield and the armor in one charge. And the reason that that's so powerful is you could set up a play to where an enemy overextends, they use all their resources, maybe they even lose a trade unfavorably because they want that freaking overshield. But as a team or as an individual, your plan is to let them have that overshield. Let them grab it. And the second the enemy pops the overshield, contests you, or tries to push you thinking that they're going to be able to alpha up and kill you, and you shoot them once with the plasma pistol and melee them and kill them, they are just completely ruined. You're going to turn the team fight. You're going to win the team fight. And it's incredibly important that this is a common weapon that you can just grab off the wall that counters one of the most powerful items that people are contesting in the entire game. And that's so important for you to understand. Now, the next weapon that is actually incredibly powerful, but definitely not used enough, and it's the assault rifle. And I understand, the assault rifle can feel weak at times, and especially when you compare it to the battle rifle, sometimes it's definitely lacking, but there are some things that the assault rifle does incredibly well. It shreds shields incredibly quickly, and it actually allows you to easily finish off an enemy that is weakened, that doesn't have shields, but is very difficult to hit or headshot. A great example of this is, imagine if an enemy is jumping like off a ledge and you're chasing them. Sometimes it can be pretty difficult for you to secure that headshot with your BR, and if you don't hit a headshot at all, the assault rifle is going to have a faster time to kill. So the assault rifle could be a really great complement to the battle rifle, allowing you to finish off these low enemies in these more scrappy fights. In addition, it can be something that can allow you to finish off enemies if you run out of ammo on your BR. It's a really good secondary weapon, or you use it to break the enemy shields, you use it to initiate, and then you swap to the BR after the fact. I think also its power level dramatically increases when you use certain amounts of mobility with it. So like the grapple hook or the thruster, being able to track someone, thrust, and still track them while you're thrusting allows you to do so much damn damage, and it's very hard for them to return damage back onto you. Also, remember that because you are not bursting shots out, you're not trying to be specific with your shots, you can afford a lot more mobility as an individual. You can crouch spam, move left and right and sporadically, and it's not going to affect your aim negatively as bad as it's going to make you hard to hit for the enemy. And that's a really great important point with the assault rifle. It's one of the best weapons to be incredibly mobile with and actually trade damage more favorably because you're harder to hit. Now, the last weapon we actually have to talk about is a weapon that actually sees a little bit of pro play in certain situations, but it's not picked up very often at all, and it's the Disruptor. Now, I know you don't like the Disruptor that much. Maybe you never pick it up, and there's many times where you've lost a straight-up duel with someone because they just BR'd you to death and you had a Disruptor. However, the important thing you need to understand about this rapid-fire projectile-based weapon is that when you actually stick enough to an enemy, it's going to not only break their shields, but it's going to be able to deal damage to any ally nearby or any of their allies nearby. And this is incredibly important because there's a lot of game modes, situations where enemies are all playing really clustered. Enemies are playing really close together, and you can make it so that they are all dramatically weakened before your teammates decide to engage. Let me give you a perfect example. Think of Recharge and think of the upper balcony in Recharge, where players like to go take the oddball there and camp. And that can be so freaking frustrating, especially if you don't have great coordination with your team and they have things like the energy sword. It could be a freaking nightmare to go take control of up there when there's a whole bunch of enemies anywhere inside. However, one thing that enemies are going to often do is peek out the balconies, try to deal damage before enemies get in, and they want to control the flow of the engagement. But being able to stick some disruptor rounds as enemies peek out or as you peek out the long hallway allows you to actually damage the entire team inside. And it's going to make it so much easier to force them out with grenades, kill them with grenades, or finish them off as you approach. And it's a really great AoE or area denial weapon. And for that reason, I think it can get a ton of value. And that's not the only map. There's also situations where people will camp back a site with a flag or something like that. There's a lot of situations where people naturally want to play close together around an objective, and the Disruptor can punish that heavily. And you always have that battle rifle as your secondary to rely on, so there's not much cost in picking it up if you don't have any better options. Now, definitely let me know down below, what is your most underrated weapon? I want to hear about it, and I want to know what weapon you like to use the most that might not be very popular. And go to the GameLeap website to dominate and climb the ladder with these. You got to go check it out right now down below.